Rising above the concrete and glass of the Sydney skyline is Australia's largest cathedral. To look at it, you would think you were standing in medieval Europe, but this structure is rooted entirely in Australia's relatively young colonial history, and it didn't appear overnight. The construction took an astonishing 135 years, with the final pieces only dropping into place in the year 2000. That century-spanning timeline means the building grew alongside the sea. Every layer of stone acts as a living, evolving record of Sydney's development. The current building traces its origins back to a single devastating night. In June 1865, a massive fire burned Sydney's original Catholic chapel completely to the ground. Standing in the ashes, Archbishop John Polding issued an audacious directive to architect William Wardell. He demanded a replacement that was, in his words, beautiful and grand. Wardell chose a style known as geometric decorated Gothic, a 13th-century European aesthetic defined by pointed arches and intricate window tracery. But he grounded his design locally, electing to build it entirely out of warm, honey-colored Sydney sandstone. The project was so massive it outlived its architect by a century. To finally finish Wardell's design in 2000, heavy steel frames for the southern spires had to be airlifted and lowered into place by helicopter. What began as a pile of charred timber eventually required modern aviation to complete. The cathedral stands as a multi-generational triumph of architectural resilience over disaster. Inside the 107-meter nave, the sheer volume pulls your eyes toward the 30-meter ceilings. Their complex double hammer beam framework allows for massive open ceilings without central pillars. Most cathedrals face east to west, but St. Mary's terrain forced a north to south alignment. That alignment changes how sunlight interacts with the building. To compensate for the unusual angle, the upper walls rely on 14 clerestory windows made of amber glass, which flood the stone interior with warm, golden light during the early morning and the late afternoon hours. Lower down, the intricate stained glass windows tell two stories at once. Imported from the famous Hardman Studios in Birmingham, England, these panels depict traditional biblical mysteries, while also documenting the early, gritty history of the Catholic Church in Australia. Through this precise manipulation of orientation, vast open space, and filtered light, Wardell physically forces your gaze forward and upward. He engineered an environment that manufactures a distinct sense of the divine. Beneath the floor of the nave lies a completely different kind of space. The crypt serves as a solemn sanctuary and the final resting place for Sydney's pioneer clerics and deceased archbishops. But the crypt is defined by what you walk on. The floor is covered in a vibrant terrazzo mosaic, a painstaking technique using tiny chips of marble set into concrete, crafted by Italian migrant artisans known as the Malacco brothers. The mosaic features an enormous Celtic cross inlay, stretching 42 meters long. Its complex, swirling geometric patterns were inspired directly by the ancient illuminated manuscript known as the Book of Kells. In most cathedrals, you look up to find the finest details. Here, the architecture flips your expectations, placing the building's most breathtaking, labor-intensive artistic masterpiece directly underfoot. Far above the crypt, hidden inside the central tower, is the unseen auditory element that connects the cathedral to the wider city. The tower houses 14 bronze bells cast at London's famous Whitechapel foundry, representing the heaviest peal for chain ringing in Australia. Rumors don't read sheet music. They memorize complex numerical sequences, using thick ropes to swing these massive bells fully upside down. With the heaviest bell weighing in at 1,741 kilograms, the ringers work through over 5,000 possible mathematical variations. The entire cathedral effectively operates as a colossal acoustic instrument, projecting its presence across Sydney through complex sound. Despite the museum-quality art and century-old architecture, St. Mary's is highly active today. It continues to serve as the mother church for Australian Catholics. It has drawn global religious figures across the decades, serving as a destination for canonized saints and hosting historic papal visits, like this one from Pope Paul VI. Later visits, including Pope Benedict XVI, further cemented that modern historical weight, directly connecting the local Australian church to the wider legacy of the Vatican. Step outside the doors, and you're immediately met with the chaotic noise of a modern, secular metropolis. But inside, the thick sandstone walls offer a profound, quiet refuge for devout pilgrims and curious visitors alike. Built from the ashes of the 19th century colonial past, St. Mary's Cathedral stands as Sydney's ultimate anchor. It is a synthesis of imported European artistry, local Australian sandstone, and an enduring resilience that continues to bridge history with the living present.